Welcome back. Today in our Sunday Spotlight, helping those reeling from the sudden line-of-duty deaths of Bristol Police Sergeant Alex Hamzy and Lieutenant Dustin DeMonte. This morning, Bristol Mayor Jeff Caggiano is here to talk about the fundraisers underway that are supporting the families of the officers and their fellow officers. Mayor, welcome. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
I guess just how's your town? How's your community doing?
Doing reasonably well. It's been a very difficult, trying time for all of us, but I'm very heartened to see the outpouring of support and the willingness to try to step forward and move forward and do something positive from this. It's been very heartwarming to see that.
What's the experience been like as the leader of that community? I know there was outreach from other cities, other states, other countries. What has it been like to sort of be watching all of that from the mayor's office?
Definitely a surreal feeling. I mean, I wake up many mornings now and wonder what really happened here. Did this happen to us? And I think I realize as well, this could have happened anywhere. You know, Bristol, as I always say, is a big, small town. So we have some of that small town feel, but we are the 12th largest city in the state. So it's a realization that this could have happened anywhere, and also to the heart of your question, really nice to know that everybody wants to help, and we've had a ton of mutual aid and support from the police and fire and other services to people coming to that memorial that you guys have highlighted quite a bit on the news.
And I think a lot of people who said, you know, Mayor, listen, we want to help. One thing that people could do is monetary donations, and I know that's one of the things we want to check in on this morning. There's two different funds that we want to check in on. The first is the Bristol Police Heroes Fund. Tell us about that effort. Who does that support, and what's the objective of what's happening there?
Yeah, so that was a fund that was established very quickly after this happened with the Bristol Police Union. So it's a union-driven fund, and that fund is meant to help any Bristol police officer affected by this tragic incident. So mainly we know about Hamzy and DeMonte and the families, but Officer Irato is also directly affected by this, and you think about the sequelae of events where people were showing up to the scene and many other officers. They could have long-term effects from this as well too. So that fund is established to help all the local Bristol police officers.
We showed the graphic. I know Thomason Savings Bank is the group helping with that, correct?
Yep.
And what kinds of things? I mean, it's one thing, and it's back up there now. If people wanted to send something into Thomason, that's how they do it. But what kinds of things are you thinking that fund will be for?
Well, I think it will be for direct benefits to those that are affected. So the Hamzy and DeMonte family, people know what that long-term financial impact will be for them. But we will likely have officers that will be out of duty due to PTSD-type symptoms or syndromes, as well as you know, people that need to take sick time and other time off. So I think it could potentially help that. It could also get involved with any memorials that are erected or put in place.
And we'll talk about the memorial more in a second.
Yep.
And obviously, this is a human effect, a human tragedy. There's been real toll on human beings, and I don't want to discount that. But at the end of the day, you're the chief executive of a city. I mean, there's got to be a budget for this stuff too. I mean, you obviously aren't going to say, you know, hey, listen, you can't take the time off. We can't cover that shift because of money. But at the same time, you're still responsible to voters and having a budget and paying all these bills. Is that part of what that Heroes Fund can help with?
Potentially, although I will say this is why cities have contingency funds. So Bristol has managed its funds very well over the years. I inherited a pretty good situation, and we continue to monitor that. We have incurred costs. We will incur costs moving forward. But this is kind of an emergency situation that we'll have to deal with it, and that's where our rainy day or contingency fund would come in as well. There could be some overlap with this, and this may be a good time to bring up as well, is that we've put together a police memorial subcommittee of our police commission to take some of these ideas and pull them together to see if there's financial impact, to see if they could partner with the police union to change memorials that we already have in place and things that are happening. So there's a lot to it.
And to have a long-term plan as well.
Exactly. This is not going to happen overnight. This is something that's going to happen over time. We have just formed the committee this past week, and we'll probably start to have meetings in the next week or two, and we'll probably go on for years, quite honestly.
You mentioned, talking about the Heroes Fund, that there is some potential for that to help the Hamzy and DeMonte families, but there's another fund, the Fund the First campaign, is specific to those families. Tell us about that effort.
Correct. So that came out of the Police Benevolent Association, and our local group put that fund together. That one is very specific, that will go directly to the Hamzy and DeMonte family. And that one's online as well, too. And that one's easier for the public to monitor as to how it's doing, because when you click on that one, it tells you exactly what monies are in there.
Well, I did click on it before we taped today, and and I think this is good news, they've had to raise their goal several times. They said 250, then 3, then 350, and that's because they kept surpassing it. Somewhere north of $567,000 as we sit here today. And I thought, while that's a lot of money, and certainly that's encouraging, 3,783 donors is maybe even more encouraging, that whether it was $1 or $1,000 or whatever, that many people said, hey, I want to help. That must be heartening for other people in the community and other officers to say there's these people out there who care and are helping.
Yeah, no doubt. And I have actually a personal story where I've seen a personal check come in up to $30,000, and I saw a $1 bill left at the wake of Officer Hamzy at that time underneath an envelope with a gentleman that I don't think he had another dollar with him. So that is heartening. That tells me how much this has impacted people. And even going back to the Fund the First, you look on those funds, and this is a program that's been set up by the PBA through many organizations. We've had other officer-involved shootings and tragic things that have happened. But this fund has surpassed all the others. This is a double tragedy, number one, and number two, this is just unthinkable of how the circumstances happened. So in 11 days, we had surpassed any other fund, and we're continuing to see that move. And I want to see that move in a positive direction as well. I'm hoping that we get over $1 million in that fund. Money itself is not going to help these families, but if we can take one thing off the plate of those families, that would be wonderful.
All right, Mayor Jeff Caggiano from Bristol, we appreciate you being with us here on CT22.
Thank you very much.
And if you'd like to donate, we have a link to both those funds on WFSB.com. You can find out more information about both of them. That is CT22 for this week. CBS Sunday Morning is coming up next. Have a great rest of your weekend. We'll meet you back here in Studio A next Sunday morning.